So in schools we should understand that the environments where people will work are not the similar environments that their parents have been working, and they're moving and changing very dramatically and drastically all the time. So we need to focus on learning all these processes that lead to learning. We should build our education into process-oriented instead of content-oriented education. We still need content, we still need information to share to students, but the students need to be educated into understanding knowledge, and especially they need to be educated into lifelong learners. So the task of schools should be to educate learners instead of rememberers of knowledge. Well, for example, all kinds of processes relating to information. First we search for information, we seek information, then we evaluate information and filter information, and then we share it and discuss it and create arguments of it. We create our own impressions of it and joint impressions of the information that we gather, and slowly build it into knowledge and common understanding among students in groups. So that's sort of like a process that we have to concentrate on. So the teacher has to be a little bit clever nowadays to understand how to implement all these processes into the courses, into the school system that they're having, and that demands sort of like cleverness. Yeah. Well, not really certain very particular thing, but I'm very interested in thinking about learning as a comprehensive lifelong activity, and thinking how the schools should prepare our children into the work life, and how in the work life we should think ourselves as lifelong learners also. Instead of what I talked about today in the seminar was that in the companies we focus on training and see learning as training activity that's evaluated in tests. And same goes in schools. And when in school we learn that learning is something that's evaluated in tests and tested, and as learning as something of remembering facts and remembering things that you can repeat and then forget. So then when we move to the companies to work in companies and in the public sector also, we're not prepared as well as knowledge workers as we could because of our background in school. I would focus on evaluating the processes that we think that lead to learning, the things that lead to metacognitive development, the processes that lead to lifelong learning. So we would, as teacher, I would like list all these important skills that are needed in the future. All these types of information skills, social skills, all kinds of metacognitive skills, creativity, innovation, that all these skills that are needed in the future society that we think that are needed. And then I would try to evaluate how these skills are developed in the schooling, and what sort of processes we need to develop these skills. And then I would evaluate these processes, like, well, let's say altruism, all kinds of asking good questions, asking for help, asking for assistance. Asking for assistance means that you realize that something is missing, and you realize you need to learn something, and that's very valuable. And then for yourself, if you help, and if you help to seek these answers, if you help to find correct answers or even false answers, that's valuable, and that can be evaluated. All kinds of interactions can be evaluated instead of just remembering facts. Focus on evaluating the processes that lead to learning, that lead to developing the important skills that we think that are valuable in the future.